Hey, it's Captain Matt, Boater's Secret Weapon, and today we're talking about the most common reasons that your boat won't start. Now, there's a couple that are really easy to check. The first is your kill switch somehow come off. It doesn't take very much for that little switch to get flipped up, or the lanyard to come undone a little bit, and now the boat won't start. That's one of the first things you're going to check. The next thing you're going to check is, am I in gear? Even just being a little bit forward can keep the boat from starting because of the neutral safety switch. You want to make sure that locked in to the neutral position and then try it again. And next, you want to check the battery switches on. If you don't have any juice at the helm, it could be the battery switch. Those three things are going to be like 50% of the times where people say, I can't get my boat to start, and the boat's usually running good. Those are the things that it's likely going to be. Next is you want to check your battery. Do you have a dead battery? What's it? Is it giving you the or the click, 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 click? Well, that's probably a battery issue. It's why I encourage you to carry a jump pack on the boat. Have a CTO or a Boat US membership so they can give you a jump, and that way you can get yourself going. But you want to check the terminals, and you want to check your battery switch terminals to make sure there's no corrosion, a loose nut or something like that is causing it not to get the full power of the battery. The other thing you can do is, if you have a battery switch that has a both or a parallel setting, you can put those together. It's going to marry the batteries together and give you all the juice the whole system has. That might just be enough to get you started up, running, so that alternator can then charge you up. Just make sure you run the boat for a good long time, at least 2,500, 3,000 RPM, so that alternator is getting a good charge on those batteries before you turn it off again. Other things you want to switch or check is that you've got your fuses, the fuse between the ignition switch and the battery. It may be right up at the helm. There may be one back right at the battery, but you want to check those fuses as well. And I always encourage, carry a few extra fuses that your boat style needs, whether they're the spade or whether they're just the tube fuses, so that you have a replacement if you need it, because hitting a big bump or just something weird happening and it shorts out, it can happen, and that way you're prepared. Also, you want to check your fuel level, not just based on the gauge, because boat gauges are notoriously off when it comes to fuel. You need to check your fuel gauge when you're sitting flat and level. So not underway, just sitting level in calm water is going to give you the most accurate reading. If you're reading it while you're up on plane, remember, you're up on plane and you're at a different angle, all the fuel is going to rush to the back. It's usually going to read more fuel than what you actually have. I've got a video on that you can check out. Next is, you might have an ignition issue. So what you want to check is that your ignition is nice and tight on your helm or wherever it's located. Kind of reach your hand up around to where those ignition wires are. Check for a fuse there, but also make sure that all the connections are tight. Sometimes just fiddling around with it will allow it to start up, and that tells you, okay, we've got a connection issue, and you know where that issue is. Sometimes if you can just tighten that up, you'll be back in business and on the water. It could be a bad starter. Those are things that go out on a regular basis and need to be replaced at times. So check that starter. If you can find the solenoid, sometimes just tapping it with a small hammer or a screwdriver when you're cranking it up can kick it off so you can get a start again. And next, depending on the age of your boat, and if it's a carbureted engine, you might have a choke where you actually push in the key to engage that choke when you turn it. And if you're not doing that choke, it may not start, or you may flood it. So choke it when you turn it, and you'll know that by pushing in the key. If it goes in maybe a 1/4 inch, you've got a choke. Or if it's old enough boat, and you may have a choke on the throttle here that you can manually adjust, and you just sort of have to play with that to get it started. Those are the things that are most common as to why your boat will start. So hopefully, if that happens to you, you can use one of those to save the boating day, so you don't have to limp back to the dock, get towed back to the dock, and ruin a fun boating day because the boat wouldn't start. If you have other ideas that would be helpful, for people? Leave those in the comments. Give this a thumbs up if you found it valuable. And remember, life truly is better on a boat.